Good evening, everybody. We're back again. Hasn't been so long since you've seen us. If you are tuned into the NBA Crunch Time now, it's time for NFL Pre-Lock Show right here in RotoGrinders showdown between Kansas City and the Raiders. What's up, Keith? Long time no see.
Yeah, long time no shot. Chat a little NBA. We've got Trae Young doing work in the early game for NBA, but good little football game here to talk about. I don't know if you can figure out what the heck is going on with Kansas City, but I'm excited to talk to you about it. And I don't know, are they as bad as they've looked, or can they turn it around here against the Raiders, who have actually played them pretty tough the last 2 years? So good stuff to talk about here.
Yeah, $1 million question. If I had those answers, I feel like Andy Reid and company would probably hire me onto the staff at this point. But I don't know exactly what the right answers are, but hopefully we can figure out what buttons to push tonight. Some quick housekeeping stuff here, and thanks for sticking with us. Definitely drop your questions in the chat, and we'll get to them toward the second part of the show here. BetMGM, use the bonus code GRINDERSBET. That's all one word, GRINDERSBET. Bet $10 to get $200 instantly on BetMGM if your team scores a touchdown. Of course, like and subscribe. Check out RotoGrinders.com for daily fantasy strategy shows that'll help you with your FanDuel and DraftKings game. All shows will give you free daily fantasy sports advice, expert picks, live chat, and much more. By the way, I love the Chiefs Prop Shop Discord channel we got going on here. Keith, did you see the new thing our guy Will Priester has going on in Discord now?
Yeah, definitely. Free channel for everybody. So check it out, even if you're not subscribed to RotoGrinders for some reason. But yeah, Chief is crushing it on all kinds of all of the prop sites. He's on Prize Picks and Thrive and Underdog and all that. So great new opportunities arising out in the DFS streets.
For sure. Chiefs crushing it over there. And of course, RG Premium, I guess we're probably a broken record by now, but you can really customize your subscription and come roll with us. Great ownership projections, the things such as the blitz projections, etc. Everything here at RG. We're like a well-tuned machine, baby, and let's get it on for the Raiders. And you're right. The season-long question is what is happening with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think it's a number of things. Probably. Where do you even start, Keith? First of all, it's the offensive line first and foremost. Yeah. And you've said the Raiders have played Kansas City pretty tough. Would you agree that maybe this Raiders front seven, the line has been manhandling teams, and I think that's a cause for concern tonight. I think. That being said, I do like points to be scored. So I think if you're asking me, one of the flaws with the Chiefs right now is the offensive line play. We really saw them get exposed in the Super Bowl last season. And two, as good as it is for us, because we know where the volume's going, the condensed target tree and the target shares between Tyreek and Kelsey. After that, nobody has proven to be a playmaker. They brought in Josh Gordon, for crying out loud. Mecole Hardman is still boomer bust. DeMarcus Robinson is who he is. They don't have a second tight end that really is consistently a threat. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been a flop so far in his career. I hate to say it. I'm pulling for the guy. I own him in many fantasy leagues in my season logs. We've seen Williams play better than Helaire in this offense too. So I just think, like, it's so stupid to say. It sounds cliche, but you take away at least one of their main threats. And so far, it's been Kelsey. People have been taking Kelsey away. Teams have been game planning around Kelsey, it seems. And Tyreek has even had some decent games, and he's had some crazy air yard market share numbers. And Kansas City squeaked by the Giants and has gotten beaten by some other teams there too. So it's weird that I'm saying maybe it's a lack of talent or lack of depth maybe here with Kansas City. I know that's a very macro view of things, but I don't know. Agree, disagree? What are your thoughts on what's wrong with the Chiefs here?
I definitely agree. The problem starts up front, and you mentioned the Raiders' pass rush has actually been outstanding this year. Max Crosby looks great, and then they signed Yannick Ngakoue, and he's had a great year on the other side. So definitely a threat here of Raiders' pass rush, which could hinder the Chiefs' offense, but when I'm trying to dig into these things, one of the most trusted sources that I have is Vegas, and Vegas still has this total at 52.5. So I don't know of any other way to play this other than the Chiefs offense is going to go out here and throw up points. Close spreads at 3, Chiefs -3. So should be a close, high scoring game. I'm going to play this like a shootout, even though the Chiefs have looked just atrocious over the past month or so. Like, they put up 13 points against the Packers, 20 points against the Giants, and 3 points against the Titans in their last 3. Like that, those do not sound like this typical Chiefs offense that we've grown accustomed to since Patrick Mahomes took over. But I'm just going to trust that Mahomes and Andy Reid and all the guys can figure out what's going on schematically with the offense, fix the holes in the offensive line, and come out here and put up points on the Raiders. So, if anybody out there wants to play that different, I'm not going to argue with them because we certainly haven't seen it in quite some time here from the Chiefs. But I'm going to lean Chiefs heavy offense. Still an offensive juggernaut, and that's how I'm playing this one, and we'll see how it works out.
I agree with you as I sit here and throw the blitz projections up on the screen because that's what I roll with typically. And you talked about it, and I guess that starts with we'll talk about lineup construction shortly and whether it's going to be Hill, Kelsey, or if you're hoping Mahomes spreads it around kind of game, or maybe you're into Williams as maybe the pivot off of Kelsey and Tyreek. I mean, you could play. I know it sounds shocking because we haven't seen it, but you could play a Chiefs play ahead game for once. I mean, if you think eventually they put things together here, but Darrell Williams has been pretty good, man. So didn't you call Darrell Williams on a previous Showdown show when Hilaire was active? Was that your call you made? I could not remember.
Yeah, I'm always the backup running guy on the Showdown slates. I absolutely love playing backup running backs on Showdown.
Well, then I think we're gonna have a treat when we talk about the timeshare on the other side of the ball momentarily here. But before we get into lineup constructions and lineup builds, and of course the questions from the chat in the second half of the show, let's just go position by position here. And I think our conversation will probably go hand in hand with a number of things here today. So, of course, at quarterback, typically they score the most raw points. Typically, you see them at MVP on FanDuel. Of course, on DraftKings, the salary changes when you put them in the captain slot. And that conversation is a little bit different here. So we have Patrick Mahomes and we have Derek Carr. And Carr's having a great season. Guy's taking a lot of heat throughout the years with, but of course, the coaching carousel, the coordinator carousel. Then he loses John Gruden. Right. And then the lack of talent around him for quite some time here. And Derek Carr just keeps trucking along. And this is a huge game in the AFC West, man. So you have Mahomes and you have Carr. All right. If you're playing a lineup with one of them, and I have a feeling you're not going to play a ton of Carr because you talked about going heavy on the Chiefs. So give me reasons to play Patrick Mahomes today, Keith.
I mean, theoretically, he still has two of the best weapons in the NFL, in Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. We talked about the rough offensive line. Is there a chance that they could go out here and lay another egg against this Raiders pass rush? I think that there's a real possibility. But Vegas has the Chiefs favored. The points total is still really high. I'm going to play this like Patrick Mahomes can come out here and throw for 300 yards and somewhere between 2 and 4 touchdowns. So, Mahomes is going to be one of the top plays. Ownership, according to projections, reflects that. I don't know if the field gets scared off by what they've seen and he ends up coming in a little bit lower. In my opinion, that would be a nice development. But yeah, he's still Patrick Mahomes, theoretically one of the most talented guys in the league.
Yeah, I think it's fact. It's facts in theory, and it's objective. You're right. Pretty fairly close projections here between Mahomes and Carr, and bit of a price difference here in terms of price tag. Derek Carr. Okay, so I guess incorporate this into your feelings on Derek Carr, in your builds and things like that. And we haven't had a super ceiling game out of Carr, or maybe he just, and you could say, well, maybe he has a limited ceiling. I mean, but we've seen some pretty consistent numbers, and he's played some on paper tough defenses. Open the season with Baltimore in that chaotic game, Pittsburgh, 21 against Denver, 20 against Philly. Nothing that's like catching your eye and making you look a second time. Like we haven't seen a 30 bomb here. Again, this is the Chiefs and they've been bad this year, and we're living in current times. They've been terrible defensively. Is this the game? Maybe. Maybe it is. But at the same time, are you shying away from Carr because like we haven't seen a 30-point ceiling out of him? Is that concerning to you?
A little bit concerning, especially with the talent in his receiver core. But I think we've seen Hunter Renfrow kind of step up into that number one wide receiver role, and Darren Waller is one of the most talented tight ends in the league. So I still like Carr here. It feels like I say this on every Showdown show that we do, but the running games are what I'm leaning away from in this spot. With a total over 50 and the talent in these two passing games, I'm going to lean as a pass heavy, like shootout type of build. It hasn't worked out, to be honest, in quite a few of these, but even if the Chiefs were to get a lead and play from ahead, I don't see them slowing it down and just handing it off to Darrell Williams the whole time. I think Mahomes still throws, and Carr still is throwing it, trying to catch up. The thing I do have the most concern about is if the Raiders play from ahead, I could see them slowing it down and just handing it off to Jacobs a bunch. But that's not the game script I'm building for in the majority of my lineups. So I'm going to have plenty of Derek Carr.
Okay. So I'm assuming there's some value pieces you like, and we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's move on to running back. And you know what? I tend to build in the same way you do when I think there's points I really don't use the running games. But I feel like every time I've built that way on these showdown slates, there's been like a 50-yard DPI call and the ball gets dunked in from the one or something like that. That's showdown. That's the way it rolls. I mean, we have seen a good amount of volume out of Williams over the last couple of weeks. Maybe that's part of the problem because the Chiefs are struggling to be who they are, right? Like they want to keep passing and dropping back. And we'll see what that Vegas line is. No pun intended. The Vegas defensive line is going to bring. How if they can really be there. Their identity is to throw the ball and keep their foot on the opponent's throat. But they've just having a world of trouble sustaining drives. Williams is projected to carry a lot of ownership. He's fairly priced for the vault. I mean, honestly, all things considered, he's fairly priced. I don't think there should be a $1,600 difference between him and Josh Jacobs, to be quite honest with you. But he's fairly priced for the role he currently has, and the matchup is good. We both think is going to be a good game environment for the most part, and Vegas Las Vegas, the books seem to agree. So I guess like he's fairly priced, so he fits in a lot of builds, and we can show you guys some stuff later. But is it solely like a game script thing where Williams isn't really fitting in your build kind of thing?
Yeah, it's an upside ceiling thing. Like he has to score twice to even like get into the conversation of having a ceiling game, in my opinion. Like we've seen him with 20 touch games before, and he can't crack 100 yards in those games. So, like the 100-yard rushing bonus seems like a really tall task unless the Chiefs just come out and lead from the jump and turn her and hand it off to him 25 times. He's not going to get the 25. He doesn't have any burst. He's not a big play guy. So it's a volume thing for him for sure. So I'm avoiding him in the captain for sure. Like I would much rather play Hill and Kelsey, or I'll even take shots on some Raiders pass catchers. Waller and Renfrow are the two I kind of have my eye on. and we can get a little bit off the board from there too. But I'm not playing any Williams in the captain because I don't think he has the ceiling unless he falls in the end zone twice. And I think the odds of that happening are pretty slim.
Yeah, he's done it once this year, but you're right. It's going to have to be.
And even in that game, though, he didn't hit either bonus. He got 24 DraftKings points, basically. So if he puts 24 points up, do I want him in my lineup? Yeah, I do. But I think that's the ceiling outcome for him.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And you have a couple guys at the other skill positions that have massive ceilings, and we know that, especially Tyreek. Thus being said, give me an argument on each side of the coin for Josh Jacobs. Pretty expensive. I like both passing attacks in this game as well. Could Josh Jacobs get the 100-yard bonus? Yeah, he could. The Chiefs have been a mess defensively. But again, I think they'll be able to move the ball through the air, and I think I'm with you on the game script for both sides here. Make a case for Josh Jacobs though. Go ahead.
There is a little bit more of a case because I think you could see the Raiders let off the gas a little bit and try to slow it down just to keep Mahomes off the field. Like just thinking in football generalities, like that makes sense, right? You want to keep the talented Chiefs offense off the field. So I could see if this game does end up going under the total, it's going to be because the Raiders slow the game down and hand it off to Josh Jacobs. And Kenyon Drake is going to mix in as well, who we'll get to in a second. But Jacobs has more upside than Williams, in my opinion, just because I don't see any game script where Mahomes is just turning around and handing it off. I do think the Raiders could end up playing that way if they're playing from ahead for the majority of the game.
Yeah, and you know what? I know Jacobs was dinged up, but there was almost an even split in terms of snap counts between Jacobs and Drake last week against the Giants, and that was a pretty neutral game script for the most part. I don't want to steal your thunder here because I feel like you have some thunder here with Kenyon Drake. So talk to me about Kenyon Drake, the RB2 here in the Raiders offense.
Yeah, I mean, Drake is he's one of the best plays on the slate, in my opinion. I know the spread is close, but if I'm building for the Chiefs offense to be successful, that's going to put them ahead in this game. And Jacobs and Drake have had pretty clearly defined roles as far as early down work for Jacobs and passing down work for Kenyon Drake. So Kenyon Drake is the guy that fits my game script build. I love the price. Ownership isn't getting away from us. I love everything I'm seeing about the Kenyon Drake play.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the change in philosophy or whatever influence Gruden had, maybe that split snap share is something we're going to see moving forward. He is the superior pass catcher out of the two, for sure. Not only is his price generous, but he checks a lot of boxes. There's 4,400, right? He is the pass catching back, which fits the higher-ish scoring Kansas City ahead for part of the game, half the game build, whatever. Can't just step back and hand it off to Jacobs. And he saw the volume last week too, in the passing game too. So that's really encouraging. And I think I'm with you on Drake, man. And his price fits many bills. So I'm with you on Kenyon Drake here. I did see Peyton Barber was inactive just for the hell of it, throwing that out there. Every now and then Alec Ingold catches that, 6-yard touchdown. That's his only thing in the game, right? for the Raiders. Well, that was with John Gruden though. As soon as John Gruden came in and started signing fullbacks and stuff, I thought, man, what is happening here? So I don't know. Ingold did play 20% of the snaps last week, but every now and then, the Raiders have these garbage guys who have the 6-yard touchdown at triple digit prices and they're optimal, right?
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the guys that's in the mix for deep tournament. 3 targets last week. So, I mean, when you're talking about trying to jam in like a Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek type of thing, or even Mahomes, Tyreek, Derek Carr, you need to start looking for some of these guys under like $2,000. So those guys are definitely in play when you have these high upside targets that you're looking for.
Should we move on to wide receiver?
Yeah, let's do it. Jalen Richard would be the only other one I would throw out there, but he's not any different than Ingold, and he's significantly more expensive. So I actually like your call on Ingold over Richard.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, Jalen Richard was a thing, but not really.
But Drake has his old role now,
yeah.
So I don't know what purpose he even serves on the team other than just being another body in that backfield.
Yeah, Drake is the more complete back for sure, whatever way you want to look at it. But the Cardinals wish they had Drake back with everything they have going on. What a disaster. How did your main slate work out, by the way, before we segue here to wide receiver?
The late games were kind of brutal. Just nothing. That Seattle Green Bay game was no points there. Ended up being profitable overall, but didn't quite get the Chargers to where I needed them to go. But yeah, I had some tournament teams that were climbing, but nothing that they got to like the super top. But profitable week, but a little bit too much chalk hitting.
Gotcha. Let's get into receiver here. Then we'll talk tight end, kicker, defense, and we'll talk about captains. And we'll go through a couple bills and take some questions here before kickoff. So let's start with the Chiefs side of the ball. Tyreek, Kelce. We've had at least one Kansas City primetime show together, and we both kind of agree Hill's ceiling is higher. And in Showdown, where position structure doesn't matter, like I'm taking Hill 9 out of 10 times for the ceiling in large field tournaments and pretty much in general if I'm picking between the two. Are you still on that train? Have your thoughts changed since the Chiefs season has been derailed frequently?
No, you nailed it. I mean, Kelsey's value is primarily from him filling just a barren tight end position, and he can literally double up or triple up on some slates any tight end in the pool. When he's up against wide receivers and running backs, it's a lot more difficult for Kelce to separate himself from what the other guys can do. So like Kelsey's ceiling is probably 30, where Tyreek's, I mean, we've seen like 40 plus out of Tyreek. So yeah, I'm always chasing ceiling in showdowns, and Tyreek is the guy.
These are like the two teams where their number one tight ends are borderline wide receiver ones though too. Yeah. So I kind of intertwined that Tyreek Kelce mentioned because in most people's eyes you're probably playing one, but raw points wise they could coexist if the game breaks the way it could, or if there's killer value, right? So I get it, but if like gun to head, if we get any Tyreek or Kelce questions, for me, it's I'm taking Tyreek every time. And Kelce could outscore Tyreek tonight, and I look like an idiot, but I look like an idiot all the time, so it's fine. But yeah, the ceiling's there with Tyreek. Right there with you.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Glad we'll be on the idiot train together. Anyway, the rest of the Chiefs receivers. Like, when's Josh Gordon going to get a role? I don't know. I mean, he's $200 though. I don't know. Is he ever going to get a role? Like eventually is he going to pop up and play like 40% of the snaps or something? I don't know. Andy Reid, like he's one of the coaches where he's not, we don't know when these things are coming and this team needs a spark. I just had to throw it out there. I'm not on Josh Gordon, but it could happen. Mecole Hardman. Everybody wants to play the flashy speedster type of receiver. And I get it. I get it. But his price, I just don't know with his price. He's seen a decent amount of work, right? We look at his game log here: 6, 7, 5, 5, 12. The last 5 games, but a lot of these teams are honing in on one of the bigger playmakers, and Hardman just really hasn't been delivering. We haven't seen it yet, but I understand the big play potentials there. I don't know. I haven't been landing on Mecole Hardman tonight. What are your thoughts on Hardman and the rest of the Chiefs crew here? Bag of chips, Pringle, DeMarcus, and Josh Gordon.
Yeah. I don't know that it's going to happen for Josh Gordon. Like he's just 30 now, and I don't know why he was brought in if he's not going to see the field. But if he's not separating himself from like DeMarcus Robinson, it's really hard to get excited about him. So I'm not going to take any shots on that. I'm with you. I don't like the price on Hardman. If he was in like the 4K range, I'd be much more willing to play him and just hope that you hit the one shot play and he pays off his price tag just on that one play alone. But I mean, up here at 6K, it's tough to get there with him. The volume is decent, but he, like you said, he just hasn't done it. It's hard to play him at that price. So I'll take a couple shots on him, but I'm not in love with it. Even the rest of these Chiefs, like Pringle was the guy that I was trying to like make a case for, and I'm not sure what happened last week, but he didn't see any targets last week, but neither did Gordon, and DeMarcus Robinson only saw one as well. So like it's really just Tyreek and Kelce, but that's why we love those guys so much, is because they see so much of the volume. these are all from Hardman on down. It's all just complete dart throws for me. Like none of them are a big part of my build. We will get into slate IQ obviously a little bit later too. And when I saw 3-3, spoiler alert, is going to be the most popular build here, and that makes sense to me because like I just want my main 2 or 3 Chiefs guys, and then I'm going to find the Raiders value to make this work. So I don't have a ton of any of these secondary pass catchers. Like,
no, that makes sense. And Pringle actually has a slightly higher air yard market share this season, average, than Hardman and Demarcus Robinson, which is kind of interesting. And Tyreek has just been dominating the air yards in Kansas City, like much more. I figured he would lead the team in air yards market share, and I'm sure most people have. Last 2 weeks, 58% in week 8 and 60% of the air yard market share against the Giants last week in week 9. That's just ludicrous, but that's why we play him and we side with him rather than Kelsey for his ceiling, because like the ball just goes up to him. Like we know where it's gonna go. Just crazy stuff from Tyreek the last couple weeks. He has 3 games this year with 58% or higher of air yard market share of the Chiefs team. Like that's just insane. I get it because he's so good, but that's also part of the problem. Like you need more. You need others involved, and if it's not Tyreek and Kelsey's been pedestrian, then who is it? And that certainly hasn't been Josh Gordon yet, right, Keith? So I mean, the numbers are definitely fascinating. But yeah, so top plays on the Chiefs side, Tyreek. Love Tyreek every showdown slate, really, right? Can Tyreek and Kelsey coexist in any kind of game script tonight, in your opinion, or no?
The pricing makes it really, really difficult. Like you cannot like under the salary cap build a lineup with both quarterbacks and Tyreek and Kelsey. So no, I don't think that there is. Like on a specific to showdown, I don't think that you can build a lineup where both of them are optimal.
That's fair. Let's get to the fun side. Well, that was fun, but this could be more fun because the Raiders signed Deshaun Jackson. Of course, Henry Ruggs is not with the team. I think we all know the situation there. Hunter Renfrow had a game last week. Looked good. Cool to see him get an opportunity. Brian Edwards, 5,400. Always seems to be more relevant on showdown slates than other slates. I'm just, I know it's not how it works, but it's almost like the new Willie Snead, it seems like. And it's funny because he is or was with the Raiders at one point. And of course, Zay Jones down here too. So the Raiders side of things, and I guess we could just intertwine Darren Waller and the tight ends with this here as well. Talk to me about the Raiders side of the ball. Anything catch your eye, Keith?
So, yeah, Renfrow has kind of ascended to that number 1 wide receiver role with Henry Ruggs out of town, obviously. I mean, 8.4 seems like a ridiculous price tag to pay on DraftKings for Hunter Renfrow, but the guy is seeing the work. He is their number 1 wide receiver. I mean, you can call Waller their number 1 if you wanted to, but Renfrow is in that same conversation with Waller as far as work goes. I'm going to try to fit him in as much as I can. Where it gets interesting, Deshaun Jackson is active today, right? I just want to make sure. Obviously, a new guy brought in. I don't think he has a big role, but I didn't see him on the inactive report. I'm sure he's active then. But I'm basically skipping over Deshaun Jackson. So I'm looking for a value play from the Raiders side here. And Brian Edwards would be the guy that jumps into the conversation, but he's 5.4K and he hasn't really done it either. Zay Jones is sitting down here at $600. I can save almost 5K to go from Brian Edwards to Zay Jones. And if I look at their numbers last week, they're almost identical. They both received 9% of the targets and they both played 95% of the snaps. So I'm going to play the cheaper guy in Zay Jones. I understand he's probably less talented, but I need to save some money if I'm going to fit Mahomes, Carr, and Tyreek in or something like that. That Zay Jones play at $800 or whatever he is looks pretty nice to me.
And I need a new co-host. You're too smart. You're too good. You still might now. I got nothing, man. I was about to go on the Zay Jones rant. Love the call. Of course, I'm kidding. Not about Zay Jones. Love Zay Jones. I mean, listen, you said he played almost every snap. You know, he ran as many passing routes as almost anybody on the team. 27% of the air yard market share last week. Renfro was closer to the line of scrimmage stuff. His ADOT was 20. Zay Jones' ADOT was 20. Like, God, he's on the field. He's getting deep shots. He plays a worse defense in Kansas City this week. We haven't projected at 12%, folks. And I don't know. Am I missing something? Are people, it's Deshaun Jackson. People gonna think he's super incorporated. Of course, we have him at 17% here. But even if Deshaun plays 30% of the snaps, and I think that's probably a lot for him. Like, he's only been there a couple of days. The Raiders are grooving really offensively. I don't know. I'd be surprised if he played 20% of the snaps. So give me a good chunk of Zay Jones at 600. And I think you can have a lot of fun with Zay Jones today. And if we catch lightning in a bottle, folks, it could be a lot of fun. And this, I know this is like a little narrative-y, but Derek Carr, he might be Zay Jones' biggest fan. Remember week 1 after that game in overtime, and Derek Carr's whole little interview after the game was all about Zay Jones, how much he likes throwing him the football and how much of a good worker he was. So I 12%, I just thought that would be higher. And maybe it will be a little bit higher, but I hope it lands about where it is there. So I'm in, and Zay Jones is how I'm going to make a lot of my, and how I did make a lot of my builds work for sure.
Yep, I think he comes in higher than the number we haven't projected at, and it's just because it lets you do a lot of fun things with the rest of the lineup. So
sure does, and of course he's so risky, right? I mean,
yeah.
He really had nothing to show for last week, and all the fun numbers we told you about are the same numbers. He had one catch for 20 yards. Whoop they do, but it's all about opportunity, and he's going to be on the field quite a bit. But Carr does spread the ball around. Of course, you have all these receivers we talked about, and Darren Waller. Who I think we should elaborate a little bit more on. Of course, there's no Henry Ruggs, and Waller had 37% of the air yard market share last week, which I'm not looking through the whole season, but of course he had that monster week 1. So I'm assuming it's his best or second best game in terms of air yard market share, probably, right? But we thought no Ruggs would help Waller, but it seemed to really help Waller, and we caught a glimpse of that. Last week, 11 targets is the most he's seen since that big week 1 game. Ridiculous, ludicrous Baltimore game where he saw 19 against Baltimore, right? So, honestly, with how good Darren Waller is, Keith, 11 should be a normalcy for him. You need to get him the football. And people are, I'm not looking at the chat, but I'm guessing, where's the Honey Badger going to be is a big question. I don't know. They moved Darren Waller around so much that I think he's a great play tonight.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Love him as a captain play. So,
yeah.
Like I mentioned, if the Chiefs do come out here and lay an egg, like Waller is the guy that's going to get it done for the Raiders, in my opinion. Like you can say it's Jacobs and they'll try to take the air out of the ball, but I think that with Carr, the Raiders want to pass first. Like Jacobs doesn't look to be anything special. Waller does. So I want Waller in the captain more than I want Jacobs in the captain. So I have quite a bit of that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Of course, kickers, kickers in defense, I think expect the unexpected, I guess. I mean, I'm looking at defense right now. Both are sub 20%. They don't project extremely well. Listen, with how sloppy Mahomes has been, I can't fault you if you want to take a shot at the Raiders scoring a defensive touchdown tonight. There is an outcome. It's not my favorite, where you play a bunch of Chiefs and you play Raiders for a defensive score. And then the Chiefs win, right? I mean, it's possible, Keith, right? Defense kickers, I mean, are they just I don't want to say fillers? I'm not prioritizing either one of them, but I certainly understand playing some kickers in a game where the ball's going to be moving and maybe a few drives stall out, although it's not my favorite with the Zay Jones Valley we talked about, who are both on tonight, which is either going to be really good or really bad.
Yeah, with Zay Jones, I don't have as much. I've also got a ton of Kenyon Drake, who's just a couple $100 more than the kickers. There's just enough guys down there. I mean, we've talked about elite tight ends. Like the second tight ends on Showdown have been a crazy anomaly. It feels like it should be an anomaly, at least. Maybe it's not, but I don't know. You can take some shots on like a Noah Gray or somebody like that too, and just hunt for that touchdown. So I don't have a ton of defenses at all, and a little bit of kickers, but not, like you said, I'm not actively like trying to get them in.
Okay. Well, let's build an optimal, 3 max single entry type of build, smaller field type of lineup, a mock build together here, and then we will get into some questions in the chat. Of course, it's an 8:20 kickoff, and in about 5 minutes we'll start hitting some questions in the chat for this fun one here. We give me some of your favorite. All right, give me 2 of your favorite captains, not named Tyreek Hill. I guess. Well, I'm just assuming, is Tyreek Hill your favorite captain play tonight?
Tyreek is my favorite captain. Yeah. Mahomes should take up a good bit of ownership. I think Tyreek will probably end up being a little bit more popular, but we talked about the upside. Tyreek can just smash everyone in the game. So Tyreek is number one. I think I go Darren Waller second. Another guy that can just see massive volume. Those point per receptions, those rack up quickly when you're talking about a guy with 10 plus targets. So Waller would be number two for me. I think Kelsey would be the third, and Renfro is right there as well for me. But I'm very pass catcher heavy on captain tonight.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's just be a little bit different. Let's make a Darren Waller build, because I'm curious to see where your head's at here. And you talked about
the savings is useful too. If you put Tyreek in the captain, you're going to have to make a decision on like Carr or Waller. If you put Waller in the captain, I think we'll see how it works out here. But I'm pretty sure we can get most of what we want with Waller in the captain.
Yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right. I'm assuming we're going to use Tyreek Hill at flex here, because is he your run? If you're playing a pass happy Raiders script, you want Tyreek in most of your, single entry, multiple, single entry optimalish type of builds.
Yep, definitely.
Okay. All right. Pretty good start there. Of course, we said we were looking for value, and I kind of just want to slap our guy Zay Jones right in here, man.
Yeah, I mean, the price is just too good for he's running right there as almost wide receiver too. He's probably technically behind Bryan Edwards. But if he's the guy that catches a touchdown, that he's paying off that $600 price tag pretty easily. I mean, he really 2 catches and a touchdown is all you need.
I think that crushes. I mean, you may not even need that, right? In the right build, but I'll definitely take that tonight. So I'm with you, and you see what that opens up: the Waller savings at captain, and then the ultimate Zay Jones savings here gives you 8K per position left. You have 3 flex spots here, and per legality, whatever words, we can't build a full lineup here on the show, but we can plug in 2 more spots here, and then you can use your imagination for the last one. So that being said, I mean, where would you go next in this one? Is your decision like, all right, what do I do with the quarterbacks and then figure out another value piece? Or are you prioritizing, like, you're going to want Derek Carr with Waller at captain, correct?
Yeah, I think Carr is a must in this build because you have Waller up there. I mean, if Waller is going to be the top scoring guy on the slate, theoretically he's catching 2 touchdowns or at least getting 100 yards. So that means Carr is having a pretty good day with him. So I think Carr is definitely in. That does leave room to get Mahomes in also.
Right.
You'd have to get pretty thin on that value play. But if you wanted to go a different direction, I'm open to that too.
Right. Now, if you plug Mahomes in, folks, if you want to use your imagination, you'd have to throw a Hail Mary with Jerick McKinnon, who I'm a little disappointed with his role since Edwards-Hilaire's been out. But really, you're seeing, like, I guess surprised he's still projected to carry this much ownership here with the Zay Jones value. But at the same time, people are doing, making these kind of Darren Waller salary captain type builds, and they want to jam in both quarterbacks, which I think attributes to some of this ownership that McKinnon's projected to see here. Of course, you could go with everyone's favorite fullback, Alec Ingold, or tight end narrative, Noah Gray. But neither one of them are just not my favorite. They're just not. I'm not really for single entry or something like that. I don't think it's my preferred build. I think I'd rather not play Mahomes and play someone at a little less salary here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting Darrell Williams into this build, and I'm really expecting a close game here. So I mentioned liking the 3-3 build. Darrell Williams allows you to do a little bit more with that last spot. And if he scores a touchdown, like we both talked, don't hate the price tag on him. like his touchdown equity is very high in the spot. So
No, I agree. And, you can even, I can't put it on the screen here, but imagine if you use Drake, $4,400 running back, which eats 1,800, which, it would be fairly unique, you would think. Or if you really think Deshaun Jackson catches the bomb, you can eat some salary there too. And the game projects to be close enough where, I'm not, from historical data and recent Raiders years and the way the Chiefs have been so good, you're like, wow, I have too many Raiders. But listen, this is, Vegas projects us to be very close, and I think there's going to be some points here too. So I do like that build too. And I know we talked a lot about Williams at the beginning of the show, and you mentioned, well, I don't know, he needs to score twice, blah blah blah. That was for a captain
correct.
Williams
Yep.
team, correct? But he's a great flex option.
Agree. Yep.
Just to clarify that, I think the volume for the flex is fine. But with the upside of some of these other pass catchers specifically, I'm with you. Would not use Williams a captain, but I like him in the flex.
Yeah,
well.
and he's game script independent, right? The reason that we didn't like Jacobs was because if they fall behind, he could be completely scripted out. That's why I prefer Drake to Jacobs. But Darrell Williams will be involved in the passing game, even if you get so like with this build, Waller comes out and smashes, and the Chiefs find themselves trailing. Williams can still be out there catching the dump offs in the passing game as they're trying to catch up.
All right, man. 8:12 p.m. Eastern time. Let's get into the chat here, and we'll take some questions here. Eric coming in hot saying, what backup quarterback are we captaining today? We have seen that theme, quite frequently too. And it was the Mariota game last year. Remember that? But not going that direction in this one. Okay, here's another as a Deshaun Jackson question, Keith. Think Jackson has a decent role this week to roster him. 42 seems a little high. I think we both agree. A little too high for Jackson with his role, Keith?
Yeah, I don't think there's any kind of a significant role. Will he be out there and go streaking down the field and Carr shoots a shot at him? Yeah, I do think that will happen. But at 4,200, you almost need more. Like if he caught a 40-yard touchdown, that's 4, 5, 8 points, 10 points. Like, I'm not sure that's even optimal at 4,200. So, and I don't think that he's going to be out there for like 50% of the snaps or anything like that. I think he's going to be out there to take a deep shot, and that's going to be about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the next question I saw about him was about targets, and I would say optimistically he'd get like 4 targets, like on a 20% snap share. I'm more thinking like 2 to 3 targets, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, two weeks from now, this might be an entirely different conversation. But first weekend off the street, like coming from another organization altogether, he's not going to know the full playbook. He's not going to be out there for 50% of the snaps. I don't see anyway.
If you were with us for our NBA show, I just got a notification that Will Barton is now questionable. So we're keeping you in the loop in NBA here as well. So, man, those Nuggets, man, are just flipping slates on their heads lately.
Maybe Aaron Gordon is going to have to be a play tonight.
Oh, maybe he is, man. God, you don't like that, like, late, suddenly questionable news. It's just not.
Yeah, that never ends up working out.
No. So maybe when you guys are done with your showdown teams, check out Will Barton's status too. Best strategy for FanDuel GPP large field. And then the next question to go hand in hand with that from the Big Hurt is favorite contrarian MVP FanDuel captain here. So I'm bringing up some ownership as we talk here. Let's see. FanDuel looks like Mahomes and Tyreek are both over 20% projected to be at MVP. Derek Carr, 15%, I think is generous for a quarterback in any FanDuel raw point kind of slate. We're projected Carr to be 15% at captain or MVP, on FanDuel.
Yeah, that sounds really good to me. I would be more than happy to build for a Raiders outright win on FanDuel with that ownership for Carr.
And Darren Waller and Kelsey both sub 10%. But if you want to be a little nuts and crack a beer early on a work night, if we think Darren Waller gets a dozen targets again, we've seen it. But I do like Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is my answer for like getting a little bit different on FanDuel. I know it's not like shocking the world, but it's different enough at that projected ownership.
Yeah, and Josh Jacobs would be the other one. He's contrarian because the Chiefs are favored. But I don't think anybody with what we've seen out of the Chiefs the last couple weeks would be surprised if the Raiders are the ones playing ahead. And Jacobs absolutely has monstrous touchdown equity in that spot. So I could see him putting 2 touchdowns in for sure.
What are your thoughts about Pringle tonight?
I can't
Sorry,
do it.
we're going rapid fire here.
Yeah, I don't know where the role went. Like it seemed like he was starting to trend up in his role. But didn't see any targets last week, only 2 the week before that. So I'm off of Pringle.
Okay. Yeah, I'm off Pringle too. Strange data there for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Chad Henne, captain. Haha. Is Renfro or Waller in the Tyreek captain lineup on DK single entry? I'm not sure if I understand the question, but yeah, you should run back a Tyreek. Well, I'm gonna say should. I would run back a Tyreek captain team with one of the top Oakland pass catchers for sure.
Yeah, I think that's an either or question because it's really
Okay.
difficult. If you want to play both quarterbacks, you can't play Waller and Renfro together. I it's scary to say, but I almost prefer the savings on Renfro in that build. I did that build specifically. That's why I don't know if that's exactly what they're asking, but I know I ran into that same problem. I like my lineup a lot better when I put Renfro in over Waller.
Best slate IQ leverage captain. I'll have to bring up the article and look at some of that again, which I will. Got any love for Gore, a guy who popped out of nowhere a couple of weeks ago, and then is didn't really it was more Williams last week again. So what are your thoughts on Gore and what his involvement will be with Kansas City, Keith?
Yeah, he has to score a touchdown, and he hasn't been used in the passing game. So even if he scores a touchdown, it's tough to pay it off now that price tag has come up. If he was under 2K, he is 1K actually. So yeah, I mean, I guess you could hunt for that scrappy touchdown, and maybe he's the value guy that fits everything together. I don't mind it. Deep tournament, obviously, only.
Right, and if I'm correct, I think wide receiver one is like the leverage captain. But
Yes.
who's the real wide receiver one in this game? Your guess is as good as mine. I think that's the way I'm interpreting that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Renfro, right, for the Raiders. So the Tyreek is the clear answer for the Chiefs, and I think it's Renfro on the Raiders. But yeah, showing 26% optimal wide receiver one in the captain.
Okay. Mahomes or Hill for DK Cash captain. That's a year ago we might not be having this conversation, but it's an interesting one. And man, I'll put you on the spot first since you're the co-host. I get to throw it over to you.
I mean, it just seems so much safer to go Mahomes,
Yeah.
but like the volume that Tyreek is getting, it's a close conversation for sure. For Cash, it's still got to be Mahomes, I think.
Yeah, maybe I'm old school too. Maybe this is the new age, the new age. But I'm taking the quarterback for Cash with Mahomes at captain. 8:18 Eastern, guys. Make sure you're wrapping up and hitting those submit buttons soon. Yeah, let's hope Zay Jones has a night. I didn't get to play as much volume as I typically do, being on triple duty today on RG. But I'm taking the opportunity out there just to reiterate Zay Jones' favorite value, or both of our favorite values tonight. We're siding with Hill over Kelsey on these showdown slates. Darrell Williams is a good flex play. Oakland pass catchers, you can go many different directions. Keith and I both like Kenyon Drake at that price and potential game script as well. Anything else we need to get out of there, Keith? I think we covered a lot of ground there.
Yeah, I think that sums it up very well. Let's see if we can get 300 yards Mahomes back in our lives, because that's fun. I like watching that. So hopefully this game doesn't dud out like some of the others have over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I figure everyone typically builds because they want the shootout to happen, but I do feel like there's going to be points after the letdown of those 4 p.m. games where there was like no action going on.
Yeah, so. like Minnesota Chargers tried to get there, but it just didn't quite. And then like Green Bay, Seattle was just a colossal bust. But yeah, hopefully we get some fireworks here to cap it off.
Yeah. What about Robinson, Casey, wide receiver? Eric, man, DeMarcus just isn't doing it for me anymore. But he does seem to rear his ugly head on these slates, But I can't. I'm not going there, man.
Yeah, like one of these guys is going to catch a touchdown that tilts the heck out of us, but who knows who it's going to be.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, thanks for sticking with us. I know you've seen a lot of Keith and I, and Devin's been working behind the scenes all day, every Sunday. And Devin, man, another long day in the books. And chat, thanks again for sticking with us. How was your day? What did you play? Any main slate action? What's going on?
Yeah, I had just a little bit, pretty much broke even on the main slate. I had a lot of Ramondre Stevenson, not enough Jonathan Taylor for my liking. Who else did I stack with? I had some some Dak today, so that worked out pretty well. A couple of parlays on the Buffalo game that didn't work out, but they were close.
You know, when you said this morning when we talked earlier, you're like, yeah, I ordered breakfast got delivered, and I was like, man, when you're on all these shows, and you know, it was a busy day for Keith and I too, and a lot of the other folks at RG, I am following all the COVID protocols on Sunday more than I guess at this point I typically do, because with work I'm out all the time too. But it's like, okay, I got breakfast delivered to, I rolled out of bed, I did my research, we did a show at lock, I watched the 1 o'clock games, I maybe take the dog out at 4, do some stuff around the house during the timeouts, and then what do? I like order pizza for dinner, I hop on the 2 shows, and I realized I'm like, wow, I didn't leave my damn house today, so I didn't see a lot of sunlight. Did you? What was your day like, Keith, before we head out of here?
Yeah, exactly like that. Like door barely, front door, get a breath of fresh air, but other than that, definitely did not leave the house. So
awesome.
Lots of work indoors for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I saw our RG push notification. It looks like Austin Rivers might get the start in NBA. So if you're still with us and if you're watching NBA, it looks like Austin Rivers is starting. Good Lord.
Well, I might need to adjust my basketball lineups.
we got you covered there. So real quick, Keith, what's your take on Austin Rivers in the start? Here we are in a football show, but since we're here, it's Monte Morris, Austin Rivers, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, and Jokic. Whew. What do you think?
I mean, we were talking about the lack of value. I don't even know what Rivers' price is. I'm looking real. Yeah, he's stone min on DK. So
sure.
Yeah, he's got to be in the conversation for sure. Maybe cuts into that Simons ownership a little bit, which would be nice.
That would be nice. I used a lot of my slots in my FanDuel single entry team, so I think I'm out on Rivers, but I totally get it if you guys have some late swap availability. Oh wow, that game already. I'm an idiot. My brain's fried.
Oh, it started at 8.
Yep.
Too
many games I'm trying to think of. Wow. I wonder what he came in at.
What year is it?
When did that notification come through? I have to on my phone.
I don't know. Maybe I'm hogging up all the bandwidth in my house. Yeah.
7:36 looks like their lineup came out.
Wow.
No, that's got Barton in though.
Weird. What is happening? What is happening, guys? Devin, you're tech savvy. What is happening?
Well, I've got Barton in my DK lineup, not in my FanDuel one, so that's good.
Man, that's nuts. Well, let's go Zay Jones, and we'll hope NFL Showdown, does it for everybody. And thanks for sticking with us. Keith, anything else? We're heading out of here.
No, I'm good.
Awesome. Well, for Keith, Devin, and no thanks to Will Barton, I'm Justin. We'll see you next time, guys.